Hey, BookTube, Chelsea, the Reading Outlaw here to do a quick book slash mostly library haul. I have four things to talk to you about, three of which are interlibrary loans. The first one of which, though, is one of mine, and it was my September Book of the Month choice. It's The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. A lot of you have probably seen this book floating around, especially if you follow people who are Book of the Month people. This seems to be one of the more popular choices from the selection for September. This is basically the story of Briseis from the Iliad. Achilles and Agamemnon kind of basically go to war over her, or over the treatment of her and other slave girls in the camp. And it's part of the reason why Achilles decides to stop fighting, which of course leads to Patroclus doing what he does. Onward and onward, if you're at all familiar with the story of the Iliad and all of that. So I'm just very much so looking forward to reading a story that I have read many, many times because I'm obsessed with the Song of Achilles, but from the female's perspective and from her story and from the story of her and her own place within her original tribal village onto her capture, and then kind of sail into this new culture and how she becomes to be a power player in these dynamics between all of these men for reasons in 2018. That is particularly a narrative that is standing out to me. So I'm very much so looking forward to this. I will probably pick it up just as soon as I am done with Latinx book bingo and like RIP and stuff. So probably like right towards the beginning of November, which may sound like a long way away, but time is ever fleeting. So, and then the next things that I have to talk about, like I said, are all interlibrary loans. If you've been listening to the podcast or kind of peeping at me at all on Twitter, you will know that I have been watching a lot of Black Sails recently. I knew I would like it, but I also knew that I would need to clear out some time in my schedule to absorb it, and that has proven incredibly accurate. So I asked my good friend Jenny, who is also the person who turned me on to the show, to recommend me some great nonfiction stuff about pirates, and because Jenny is the best and always comes through, she recommended me several things. The first one is Villains of All Nations, Atlantic Pirates in the Golden Age by Marcus Rediker. The inside flap says, made up of all nations, and attacking the commerce of the world without respect for nation or property, pirates produced a strange and fascinating drama, an 18th century morality play full of overlarge characters, complicated plots, twists and turns, and even unexpected outcomes. Villains of All Nations explores the golden age of Atlantic piracy and the infamous generations whose images underlie our modern romanticized view of pirates. Award-winning historian Marcus Rediker focuses on the high seas drama of 1716 to 1726, which featured the dreaded Black Flag, the Jolly Roger, swashbuckling figures such as Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard, and the unnamed peg-leg pirate who is likely Robert Louis Stevenson's model for the Long John Silver in Treasure Island. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Edward Teach and John Silver are two characters that we get to meet parading around in Black Sails. So this is kind of that overlap between fiction and history and historical fiction that I really like to kind of play around in. And I'm really, really looking forward to this because I like pirates. I mean, I don't like pirates. Who likes pirates? But like, I love pirates. And then the next two I have to pick up are in the vein of RIP, October, spooky stuff. Specifically, if you watched my update video or if you've been following me on Twitter, my recent obsession slash re-comeuppance with American Horror Story. The first one that I have is The Suburban Gothic in American Popular Literature by Bernice M. Murphy. The back of this book says, from the beginning of the post-war era, suburbia has frequently served as a setting for narratives of fear, repression, and horror. Why has this been the case, and what is actually happening in the suburban Gothic? Beginning with a discussion of Shirley Jackson's The Road Through the Wall and ending with Desperate Housewives, this book discusses representative texts from each decade up to the present day. Each chapter provides a contextualizing examination of the era and the cultural and historical context of its setting, thus providing a unique insight into the changing face of the suburbs and, by extension, of American society. I have always been really obsessed with that intersection between the mundanity of suburbia and like the creepiest parts of Gothic horror. I blame Stephen King. I blame Edward Scissorhands by Tim Burton. I blame a lot of separate things. I blame Ray Bradbury, but I really am looking forward to getting into this because I think it'll be a good foundational text for some of the things that I'm noticing in American Horror Story a lot. There are several kind of essays or long form pieces I'm kind of tossing around in my brain writing about American Horror Story because there's a lot there to tease out, which paves the way for this last book because if I'm going to do that, I should probably see what other people have already done. So I got Reading American Horror Story, Essays on the Television Franchise, edited by Rebecca Janiker. This is exactly what it sounds like. This is like 10 different essays, each arranged into different subheadings about American Horror Story, looking at it as like the actual meta text of it as a TV show and how it functions as a series and as a set of interconnected storylines. Then also digging into things like representation, gender, sexuality, family. If I had to pick out I've only looked at the table of contents, but if I had to pick out the two things that I'm most excited for, it would probably be Haunted History, American Horror Story is Gothic Tourism, which relates back to the book that I was just talking about. And Wir sind alle Freaks, Elevating White Male Gay Oppression Through Representations of Disability by Carl Schottmiller. And so there are, you know, like I said, about 10 different essays in here, all of which dig into American Horror Story. This only goes up through Hotel. So Roanoke and Cult aren't in here, but I think that that will lay a really interesting foundation to maybe seeing how these themes kind of further play out in the later seasons. Yeah, I'm really nerding out on this, guys, and I'm really, really enjoying it. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, so those are the library books / one recent new to me actual book of mine that I get to have now. Let me know down below recent books that you've picked up, what's going on at your library, or what's crossing your TBR. Until next time, friends, you can catch me down in the social media in the down bar. Please take care of yourselves, please take care of each other, and have happy reading.